please rise if you are able and remain standing for the national anthem and the presentation of the colors by the Air Force ROTC Wing Walker Honor Guard.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Godshaw. I am the Director of Public Relations for the Associated Students of Colorado State University, and I also serve as a CSU Presidential Ambassador. At Colorado State University, we begin events by honoring and recognizing the original stewards of the land where our campus is now located. It is my pleasure to share our land acknowledgement statement. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native tribes. We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU was founded as a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion. And significantly, our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. I now welcome my fellow student and friend, President of ASCSU, Nick DeSalvo, to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, and I should mention if you have a chair, you're more than welcome to sit at this point. Joseph and I have the pleasure of working together as leaders in ASCSU, where we represent the voices of students at CSU as we work with President Parsons and other members of administration to fulfill the promise of Colorado's land-grant university. In this presidential election year, ASCSU has been hard at work ensuring that students, many of whom are voting in this election for the very first time, have access to carrying out their civic duties. We call it a civic duty because it's exactly that, a responsibility we have to honor the sacrifices of those who fought so hard for our freedom to engage in the democratic process. Whether it's at the local, state, or national level, CSU has a tradition. We vote. 4 years ago, 76% of eligible CSU students voted, and this year we aim to increase and strengthen that record to 80% participation. Today, our community has come together for another CSU tradition. This morning's fall address by President Parsons will be followed by our annual university picnic, where we'll enjoy lunch provided by the Laurie Student Center Catering. This year we have two other CSU traditions on the Oval with us. Everyone's favorite mascot, Cam the Ram. Let's give it up for Cam. And a traveling A, since we can't bring the one on the mountain down here, celebrating 100 years of CSU history. So I hope you all stop by and sign your name on the A, grab a photo with Cam, and listen to music from the Main Street A Cappella Student Group and KCSU's own DJ, EJ. And now, I'm honored to introduce Colorado State University's concert choir, led by Dr. Nathan Payant. The CSU choir is composed of students from majors across this university. The ensemble performs a full range of music from the spectrum of choral repertoire, from early Renaissance masterworks to new pieces from today's top composers. Today, they will perform for us a piece titled Measure Me Sky, based on a poem by Lenora Spire and arranged by composer Elaine Hagenberg. So please join me in welcoming the CSU Concert Choir.
Wow. Thank you so much to our talented concert choir. What a beautiful and inspiring piece you shared with us today on this glorious fall morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marian Underwood, and I have the great pleasure of joining you today on the historic Oval as the Provost and Executive Vice President for Colorado State University. On behalf of CSU, I welcome you to the President's Fall Address and University Picnic. Before we get started, I want to thank the Air Force ROTC Wing Walker Honor Guard, our ASCSU leaders Nick DeSalvo and Joseph Godshall, the Golden Palms, and our CSU Marching Band. We are so grateful to you for your contributions to this annual tradition. Please join me in sharing our appreciation. On behalf of CSU leadership, we would like to thank the CSU System Board of Governors, Chancellor Tony Frank, members of President Parsons' cabinet, and our Council of Deans for being here today. We also appreciate the many leaders and community partners from Fort Collins and Northern Colorado who have joined us. Living in the world of academia, the fall has always held a special place in my heart as the marker of new beginnings and old traditions. I am grateful to be part of this annual CSU event. The President's Fall Address brings together our community to hear from the President about the current state of the university and the outlook for the coming academic year. At this time, please join me in welcoming to the podium the 16th President of Colorado State University, Amy Parsons.
Well, good morning, Rams, and welcome. Special welcome to our Board of Governors, to our university leadership, our community partners, our partners from the city and from the county, our alumni, and especially to our students. It's an honor to be here with you today. It's been a full year since we were all here together before on another perfect fall day for the investiture and fall address. That's a day that I will never forget, and what a year it has been. We've reached new academic heights, set research records, received transformative gifts, raised the recognition of CSU to new levels, and added exceptional new leaders to our ranks, including some new deans, Dr. Dean Kirsten Thorson and Dr. Carolyn Lauren Still. Welcome. Now, I remarked last year what it was like when I first arrived on this campus as a 17-year-old student filled with excitement and gratitude, and this fall I got to experience it in a whole new way when we moved our youngest daughter to CSU as a freshman. High five to my husband in the front row there. In the same week, my husband and I also moved our older daughter, now a junior here at CSU, into her first off-campus house with her friends, and I met my own freshman roommate for lunch to talk about it all. I'm not sure that the idea of coming full circle really does justice to what it felt like for me that week. It was the convergence of multiple circles that can only happen in a community such as ours, one in which connections endure and lives keep intersecting, even as this place and its relationship to the world keeps changing. My family's story is just one small full circle story among so many thousands out there, but let me tell you a big intersecting story that we all experienced this fall. Last month, on September 7th, we celebrated Ag Day. It was our biggest Ag Day yet. It was a glorious day here at CSU. The entire campus burst into pumpkin orange, and we were the Aggies again, celebrating with a 4,000-person barbecue and a sold-out stadium for a victory over UNC. We looked out at the freshly painted A, celebrating 100 years proclaiming our Aggie roots. And also that day, we retired number 14 across all sports in recognition of Lieutenant Colonel John Mosley. John Mosley came to CSU from Denver's Manual High School in the fall of 1939. He became just the second African American to play football at CSU and the first letter winner in CSU's history. He was a leader on and off the field and became the vice president of the student body. And after graduating, he enrolled in the Tuskegee Flight Training Center and became a bomber pilot serving in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. Later, he became an advocate and champion for black athletes and the Tuskegee Airmen, among so many other accomplishments. And on Ag Day, we had the privilege of watching Lieutenant Colonel Mosley's children and grandchildren bring the Mosley name back full circle to CSU, and they participated in another of our great traditions, the ringing of the bell, at the Irish and Michael Smith Alumni Center at the start of the football game. And that bell they rang has its own amazing and slightly mysterious full circle story. About 30 years before John Mosley arrived at CSU, around 1910, we acquired that very same 500-pound bell and installed it at the Tower of Old Main. And it used to ring out at the start of classes and after victorious football games, but John Mosley never got to hear that bell because it mysteriously disappeared in 1919. And then, in 1970, when Old Main burned down, it took the bell tower down with it, and the mystery of the bell was on its way to being forgotten until 2016. In that year, many of us were busy with the construction of Canvas Stadium and our new Alumni Center when Christy Bolander, the executive director of the Alumni Association, received a call from an attorney representing unnamed clients who were asking whether now would be a good time to return the bell 100 years later, and if we could put it for use, and would we be willing to give them immunity for the original crime a century before and the decades of the cover-up. Christy smartly said, yes, of course, but was quite shocked when several nights later she received a call from her husband, who upon returning home from work found that same 500 bell sitting in their driveway. Now, much about the bell is unknown and its travels over that century. We know that it was buried in the ground for about 50 years and it traveled from place to place for a while, but throughout that time, it was cared for by generations of Rams who saw to it that it would eventually be returned to its rightful home. And now it hangs in the Jim and Nadine Henry Tower at Canvas Stadium, and that's where, on Ag Day, wearing our Aggie orange, we listened as John Mosley's descendants rang that bell first heard on campus 115 years prior. History, commitment, excellence, and a touch of mischief all reverberated in that remarkable moment when so many Rams from multiple generations had that big feeling of coming full circle. How fortunate are we to be part of this community with these incredible and intersecting stories and traditions and people? Now, I have asked a few of you to tell me your favorite connections to CSU. Marion Underwood, our provost and executive vice president, said that a favorite tradition is convocation, that exciting moment when new students join our academic community, and she also remarked on the power of a more somber moment, a memorial and tree planting in memory of our treasured colleague Diana Wall, a globally renowned environmental scientist and university distinguished professor of biology who passed away in March. Kevin Keefe, an 81 graduate, now an accountant here at CSU, said the interactions he's had through the Alumni Association and athletics, and particularly the Fostering Success program, all give him a tremendous feeling of community. And Lucy McCrossan, a second-year drum major with the CSU marching band, that's right, and a fourth-year music education student said that one of the traditions that makes her feel most connected is when the entire band is in the tunnel before going out onto the field before a football game and they start chanting, I said I'm proud to be a CSU Ram. Honestly, the band has all the best traditions, I think. You guys are awesome. Kelly DiMartino, I know you're here. Oh, there you are in the second row. Hi, Kelly. Is our Fort Collins City manager and a CSU alum. Is a season ticket holder for volleyball. And she said that she loves how people come up with enthusiasm and CSU pride at the beginning of each season, making the games feel like many reunions involving community members and fellow fans. Now, in August, we welcome more than 6,000 new students to campus, each of them ready to create their own CSU stories and participate in their own traditions. This class of students is very special and a class that we should all be extremely proud of. It's not just one of the largest classes, it's also one of the most academically qualified, one of the most diverse classes ever to arrive at CSU, more international students, students from rural backgrounds, more first-generation students, more honor students, and importantly, thanks to the great work of so many people here, also, our retention rate has gone up. And with the leadership from Provost Underwood, Vice President for Student Affairs Blanche Hughes, and Vice President for Enrollment and Access Kevin McLennan, we are positioned to continue the success as we deliver on our land grant mission. For what is CSU's #1 priority? Anyone? That's right, student success. Thank you, Marion. To succeed, our students must first arrive, and that starts with smart outreach to them and their families, being clear about our tremendous value. How do we do this? We waive application fees for undergraduate residents, and we've just started doing the same for graduate students. We improve the way, thank you, yes, that is worthy. We improve the way we package financial aid and recruit top scholars. We innovate how we recruit and support transfer students, especially those from community colleges. We make our visit days and orientations welcoming to all students and all families, and we make RAM Welcome the best welcome week of its kind in the country. We lead the way in student advising, using new technologies to connect students to internships and their first jobs, and we celebrate support for our first-generation students. This year, celebrating 40 years of CSU leading the way with its First Gen Award scholars. And let's give a hand for First Gen Award scholars. And we relentlessly focus on improving retention and graduation rates, and we grow and strengthen our alumni network, which today is the largest and most connected alumni network in the state of Colorado. Thanks to Vice President for Marketing and Communications, Kyle Henley, and his team, we're telling these stories in new and compelling ways, connecting with broad audiences across the world. The success of every CSU student and alum is grounded in our second priority, which is excellence in our academic and research programs. There are many ways to look at our remarkable progress here. One important way is to look at our annual research expenditures. Under the leadership of Vice President for Research Cassandra Mosley and her team, will set a new record this year with expenditures exceeding $576 million, placing CSU among the ranks of the best research universities in the country. Another way to look at excellence is through awards and distinctions, and we've had many this year. This is just a sample. CSU's College of Business was selected as a winner of the Financial Times Best Business School for Responsible Business Education. CSU's engineering professors Sonia Kreidenweiss and Jorge Roca were elected to the National Academy of Engineers. Faculty Council Chair and Professor of Biology Mindy Smith and Dean of Engineering Alan Robinson were elected to Fellows of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. In our College of Health and Human Sciences, the Occupational Therapy Graduate Program ranked number 7 in the country. We're so proud that Dr. Joel Berger in the Warner College of Natural Resources is a finalist for this year's Indianapolis Prize, the world's leading prize for animal conservation. College of Natural Sciences Chemistry Professor Melissa Reynolds, CVMBS Professor of Surgery Dean Hendrickson were named senior members of the National Academy of Inventors, and CSU was once again named a top 4 most sustainable university in the country, a ranking we've held for the last 10 years. Now, those are just to name a few, but yet another way to look at excellence is our impact and growth. There are many examples to recount here. I'm going to say a few, and then I have a very exciting announcement. CSU is among the institutions leading the Colorado-Wyoming Climate Resilience Engine, a $160 million project funded by the National Science Foundation aimed at helping communities monitor, mitigate, and adapt to climate change in the West and beyond. In 2 weeks, we'll break ground on one of the most powerful laser facilities in the world, an international epicenter for fusion research that has the potential to deliver profound benefits to the Earth. In May, we broke ground on the world-class veterinary health and education complex on the South Campus, keeping CSU at the leading edge of veterinary care and education. Work is underway on our renovation of our beloved Clark Building, transforming the A and B wings and providing a fitting home for departments in the College of Liberal Arts. And this week, we announced that CSU will launch a new construction engineering program starting in the fall of '25. With a generous donation from Kiewit, students will learn construction projects from start to finish and receive instruction from top faculty in both construction management and in civil and environmental engineering and industry experts. And that program will be one among several housed in a brand new state-of-the-art technology building that I am excited to announce today. The vision for this building was first supported several years ago by Don and Susie Law, 2 alums who have demonstrated a long-term commitment to CSU engineering students. And then our students stepped in, supporting the project by making an impressive $50 million commitment of their student fees. And their investment inspired even more support. Today, I am overjoyed to share that CSU has just received a commitment for one of the largest gifts in university history. Thank you to the Scott Family Foundation for a new $50 million gift to CSU to support this project. Together, these generous contributions paired with our students' inspiring investment will support the state-of-the-art Don and Susie Law Engineering Future Technologies building. It will be a transformative addition to the heart of our campus, right on the site of today's Glover building. The facility will be home to classrooms, laboratories, and innovation and makerspace, all focused on the ways that digital technology and AI will transform engineering and all disciplines. It is an impressive statement of CSU's strength and trajectory, and congratulations to Dean Robinson and the College of Engineering. Our university advancement team, led by Interim Vice President Brett Anderson, works so hard to bring such visions to life, and through their efforts will continue to transform CSU through philanthropy. And we're supported every step of the way by the CSU Foundation, led by Cherie O'Neill, and Strata, led by Ajay Menon. For that trajectory to continue, we must attract, support, and celebrate the best and brightest faculty and staff in every position, which is why our third priority is institutional competitiveness. We are so fortunate to be here in beautiful Fort Collins, Colorado. Am I right, Mayor Arndt? Where's the mayor? You're right. Thank you, Mayor. This is a city that I believe, and I know you believe, is one of the best college towns in the entire country. It's no wonder that so many extraordinary people call this place home. We're proud that Forbes magazine named CSU the best educational employer in Colorado in 2014. With the leadership from Eric Ray, our Vice President for Human Resources, and Colleen Cipriani, our Vice President for Inclusive Excellence, we continue to provide critical work to make sure that we have competitive compensation and benefits to ensure pay equity and affirm our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and celebrate teamwork and respect. There is much work here to be done. We're committed to keeping our momentum going. I'm so grateful to Vice President for Operations, Brendan Hanlon, for his tireless work in overseeing our budgets and finances and his focus on securing our financial future and his ability to patiently educate our community while keeping our capital projects on track. And a big thank you to Brandon Bernier, our Vice President for Information Technology, leads the team that keeps everything running and stays a step ahead on cybersecurity and is a national leader in IT and artificial intelligence. In addition to these leaders and their dedicated teams, a secret sauce that we have at CSU is our shared governance. Our Faculty Council, Administrative Professional Council, Classified Personnel Council, and ASCSU, along with standing advisory groups such as the Multicultural Staff and Faculty Council and the Graduate Student Council, are made up of dedicated faculty and staff. Students who listen to their constituents, believe in our mission, and think creatively about how we can make progress towards shared goals. We cannot succeed without shared governance at CSU, and we're so fortunate to have so many extraordinary leaders in our ranks. And when it comes to competitiveness, we aim to compete at the highest levels in athletics as well. Under the leadership of Athletic Director John Weber, we have ushered in a new era in CSU athletics. In the rapidly changing landscape of collegiate sports, CSU has continued to aim high, invest in our students and their well-being, to innovate and stay a step ahead. All the effort from so many people led CSU to receive an invitation to join the Pac-12 Athletic Conference this fall. Joining the Pac-12, Joining the Pac-12 set CSU on an exciting trajectory, both academically and athletically, and I am thrilled that CSU is right in the middle of rebuilding this storied conference along with 7 other extraordinary universities. Of course, CSU's impact, whether it's athletics, whether it's extension or research, reaches into every corner in the state of Colorado, which is why our 4th priority is outreach and impact. Our extension and engagement activities across the state are a national model for how higher education can serve the needs of local communities. Led by VP for Extension and Engagement, James Pritchett, we're strengthening our ties and presence in rural Colorado, our recruitment of students from every corner of the state, and they're a champion for youth development, including 100+ years of 4-H. In fact, here today, our faculty and staff from OEE from all around the state, thank you for the work that you all are doing in advancing CSU's priorities. And our impact is growing in the urban heart of Denver as well as our Spur campus continues to develop and expand. Under the leadership of Rico Munn, who will serve as Vice President for Metro Denver Engagement Strategy and the Spur leadership, we're launching innovative ways to widen access for students to CSU and bring our research into the community. Okay, so our student success, our academic and research excellence, our institutional competitiveness, and our outreach and impact around the state. These are critical elements of who we are. And put together, it's clear why this institution is so important to Colorado, to the country, and perhaps most importantly for our democracy. Democracy is our final priority, and for good reason. CSU is democracy's university. When President Lincoln signed the Morrill Act of 1862, it signified our aspirations to heal and to prosper through education, opening up access to those previously left behind and setting our sights on excellence as a way to strengthen our young democracy. Next month, our country faces an important election. Here in Colorado, ballots go out in the next 2 weeks. As Nick said, thousands of our students will be voting for the first time, and tens of thousands of our community will be involved in this election. Our role in democracy is as important today as it was on the day that we were founded. And for the past year and a half, we've embraced this role with vigor and with spirit. We've woven democracy into our curriculum and research. We've brought in powerful voices across the political spectrum. We shined a light on unique programs such as the Center for Public Deliberation and the Strayer Center for Public Service Leadership. And we've embraced the First Amendment and difficult decisions from local to global issues. We had bipartisan discussions involving senators and governors and conversations with scholars, entertainers, and leaders from academia and from government. CSU is leading nationally when it comes to facilitating these critical discussions. And our students, these students, led by our student government leaders, Nick DeSalvo, Braxton Dietz, the ASCSU team, they have been champions of this effort every step of the way. They are practitioners of democracy. They make sure that student voices are heard at every level of government. Their innovative work on democracy today is the ultimate full circle story of our founding as democracy's university in 1870. Knowing that they are the future leaders of our country should give us all great hope. And that's the place to start concluding this speech, with the focus on students and the focus on hope. Everyone here today has their own unique CSU story. We are all part of the story of that bell every time we hear it ring. We are all part of that story of Lieutenant Colonel John Mosley and the story of the A. We are all inspired by the story of every one of those students over there in the band and in the spirit squad and in the choir. It is the honor of a lifetime to stand here today and to play some small role along with every one of you in the evolving stories of CSU. Thank you sincerely to all of the leaders who serve on our cabinet, our executive leadership team, and throughout CSU. Thank you to the President's Office staff, Emily, June, Abby, Summer, Wayne, Jim, Rick, Patrice, Teddy. Thank you to Scott Schrake, Laura Jensen, Matt Tillman, Maggie Walsh. Thanks to my husband, Jeff, and my dad here in the front for their unwavering support. And could you give another hand to the CSU Concert Choir, such a beautiful performance of Measure Me Sky. That song was a poem by Lenora Spear from her 1926 book, and I'll conclude with the words of another poet, written some 70 years later. Maya Angelou wrote this poem for the 50th anniversary of the United Nations in 1995. She begins by describing how we inhabit a small and lonely planet, and how we have the potential to come to a brave and startling truth about greatness. She writes, "When we come to it, we, this people on this wayward floating body, created on this earth and of this earth, have the power to fashion for this earth a climate where every man and every woman can live freely without sanctimonious piety, without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible, we are the miraculous, we are the true wonder of this world, and that is when and only when we come to it." Thank you all for working toward this brave and startling truth for our beloved CSU. Thank you. Go Rams.